Welcome to part 2 of Leah Steele's Masterclass, Reignite Your Soul Fire. Today's episode is part 2 of the series. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, which is episode 1 in this series, make sure you go back and check that out.
This is Leah Steele, aka The Wealth Witch, and this is my podcast. I'm here to activate you to remembrance of your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. This podcast is for people ready to have controversial conversations about the financial control, manipulation, and tyranny that faces humanity today.
I'm gonna live in freedom, freedom. I'm gonna live my destiny. I'm gonna live my freedom, freedom. I'm gonna live, the time is right now.
The Wealth Witch. It's for the people who are ready to wake up, deconstruct their wealth programming, and free themselves from the financial slavery consciousness that serves the global financial agenda. I'm committed to realizing a new global wealth paradigm where economic freedom is the reality and where you get to design and live the life of your dreams. Now let's do the damn thing.
So these are some of the things that I have been doing. And so I'm going to share with you these things I've been doing. They are things that I know that if you onboard some of these things and begin to implement them in your life, you will absolutely reignite your soul fire. It has done it for me. These are the things that I've been doing. I'm going to share some of my personal experiences with you in doing this stuff. And I just, I won't go through everything that I said at the beginning of the masterclass, but we'll just give a little reminder of take what serves you, leave the rest, and definitely make it all your own. So the first thing I think that's really, really important when starting to feel this kind of plateaued heavy energy or this heavy energy, or we're stuck or we're feeling stagnant. And it's something that I've actually always done in my business. I'm literally doing it right now. It is change of environment. And I think we really forget how important it is that we get to experience some freshness, some newness, some change. We are creatures of habit, and the programming and conditioning that we receive really locks us into creating stagnant energy in our lives. It's much easier for us to show up and operate inside programming and conditioning as a compliant commodity when we're just doing the same thing day after day after day after day. But it's also what creates stagnation in manifestation. So also the thing that creates stagnation in manifestation. This is the place where we have difficulty transforming ideas into action because the soil that we're cultivating is dry. And this for me is really the place that it's like, I do this, you guys will see me do this all the time where I'm, changing environment. I'm moving out of the environment that I'm in into a different environment. And just changing the scenery. Anytime where I'm like, I'm feeling uninspired, and I am really, really lucky. I live in a beautiful, beautiful home. I'm on the beach. I get to see the ocean. The place that I live my day-to-day life is inspiring in and of itself. But I also can get stuck in routine. I also can get to a place where I feel stagnant, where I'm like, it doesn't matter how much I'm watering that soil. It's just completely dried out. And when that happens, it's time to shift your environment. It's time for a change of energy. And so I do that typically by going and staying at a hotel for a couple of days, or going down and visiting a friend in Uluwatu and staying at their house. It's just like changing it up, changing the scenery. But it doesn't have to be that. It literally could be take your computer to a park and work in a park for a day. Take your computer to a museum, work in a museum for the day. Go to a different coffee shop. Like, you can create that change in scenery. Like, for me, it's just a pattern interruption. It's interrupt, the pattern that is keeping you in a place of stagnation. Give yourself fresh energy. So it doesn't need to require a lot of financial investment on your part to do that, but get creative about changing scenery and changing environment. That in and of itself can stoke those fires, reignite those flames. And it can move us out of that place of stagnation really, really relatively quickly. This has been, one of my secrets of my business and tricks in my business for a really long time. I always make more money when I go on a trip. And the other thing is that I've conditioned myself to believe this, right? I'm like, when I go stay in a hotel or I go on vacation, I make money. Everyone outside of us externally is trying to program us every second of every day. We can also program ourselves. This is a bonus. I didn't even have this written down. We can also program ourselves, right? And so for me, I program myself with things like every time I journal, I make money. Every time I go on vacation, I make money. Every time I go stay at a 5-star hotel, I make money. And I also have imprinted and patterned a belief in myself that when I change my environment, I release stagnation. When I change my environment and I give myself a change of scenery, I get inspired. I get motivated. So you can do the same for yourself. So just remember, we need to be able to cultivate our soil. And when we're resting in states of stagnation, then our soil's dry. And dry soil, when it's dry all the way through, it needs to be watered. So change of scenery, change of environment, go out, get some inspiration. The next thing is expanding your why. And this is the thing right now that I am working on the most. This is the thing that it's really my theme for myself for the month of May, is to get really, really clear on this. Because one of the things that I realized was I'd stopped expanding my why. My why has always been changing and growing, evolving and expanding. And for the last, I'd say about 1.5 to 2 years, my why had kind of stopped growing and stopped expanding. So I guess the thing that I would tell you that I believe is that if you're lacking inspiration and motivation, it's because your why isn't big enough. You've outgrown your why. And I definitely have outgrown my why. And so I've been working on this. And in addition to this, expanding my why, I'm also working right now on getting really, really clear on who this next version of me, Leah 20.0, I think we decided it was, wants to serve. Who is the person? Who's the person or the people that this next version of me wants to serve? It is something so much bigger than what I'm doing right now. The why is so much bigger. The people that I'm serving it's a totally different audience. And obviously I'm still going to do this stuff because I love it and I'm passionate, but there is a next level version of me that desires to probably serve the next level version of you, truthfully. But so this is really my theme right now. So expanding my why and expanding my why and getting clarity on who this next level version of me desires to serve. And the next part is about accessing flow state. So, and it's easy to just say that, right? Well, we need to access flow states. We need to put ourselves in the mental capacity to access flow states. We need to put ourselves into energetic alignment, accessing flow states. We need to, change our environment so that we can access flow states. Flow states are about alignment, essentially. It's about coming into alignment with the work that you're meant to do in the world, your why, the people you're meant to serve. But more than anything, accessing flow states is about discipline. And this is another place where over the last 6 months, I had really fallen off. I was not being disciplined in being really, really accountable to myself for the commitments I was making to myself around my personal practices. And not even just personal practices, but business activities. So fluidity, and this, it sounds counterintuitive, but fluidity comes from discipline. You access flow states by being disciplined. By being disciplined when you're not in flow. By right now, when you're feeling this little bit of stagnation and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling like, I'm not inspired, I'm not motivated. And that's hard. It's hard to show up and do work when you're not inspired and you're not motivated. It's hard to show up and do the things that you know that you need to do when you're not feeling inspired to. But it's the most important time for us to show up and do the things. And this is the place where I really fell off. And it was a big, big reminder for me of how important it is to just keep being consistent and keep showing up and keep doing the work. And that I actually access fluidity through and flow states through my discipline, and through consistency and through showing up even when I don't want to. It's very easy for us as spiritual beings and people in spiritual communities to be like, oh, it doesn't feel aligned, I'm not going to do it. And I think that's a load of bullshit. I mean, I do think it's important to keep coming into alignment and to keep finding alignment. But the truth is that we're also running businesses. We are also business people. We are spiritual entrepreneurs. We're not just entrepreneurs and we're not just spiritual people. We're spiritual entrepreneurs, right? So that means that, yes, is it important to be checking in with our energy and coming back into alignment and, and desiring to be in states of fluidity? Yes, but it's also important that we act like business people and show up and do the work. And I wasn't being consistent in that because I didn't feel inspired and I was frustrated with humanity and they were pissing me off. And I was getting resentful of the time that I was spending online when I felt like I wasn't getting the engagement that I felt like I deserved. But the truth is, like, that was all just my ego, right? And it was all just really a bunch of spiritual hokey pokey bullshit. So I feel like for me, when I finally was like, all right, Leah, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's time to show up. It's time to get back to basics, back to consistency, back to discipline in personal practices and in business practices. So, my personal practices, this is my journaling. This is my meditation. This is my, all the other things that I do, conscious parallel realm visitation, whatever it is. Whatever I'm deciding are my non-negotiables for the week, getting back to discipline, doing those things, and also discipline showing up, doing my live streams, writing my posts, writing, period. Just discipline, showing up, doing the things, even when I don't feel like doing the things. You can't expect to get the results if you're not willing to put in the work. This is something I used to say all the time. And I know so many people in my community that have onboarded this, and they literally will tell me, like, every time I don't want to do something, Leah, I hear your voice in my head. You got to put in the work if you want to get the results. And I had stopped doing it to myself, right? And it's part of why this period of stagnation, this period of frustration lasted so long for me this time, because I stopped doing that. Nicole said, yes, compounding energy from the consistency. This is the other thing that I like to talk about a lot. And I used to talk about this a lot. It is the law of compounding. So sometimes we get frustrated because we don't see immediate results from these disciplined actions that we're taking every day. But you have to remember the law of compounding. Even little steps that you're taking every single day, they compound. So you're going to be so much further a week from now than you were just after today. And then you're going to be so much further the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, because all of these little actions are going to compound into something so much bigger. But the same is true. There is reverse compounding as well, unfortunately. So the same is true when you don't act, when you don't take action, that compounds as well. And then the next thing you know, you're in a funk, or you're in a plateau, or you're in a period of stagnancy because you stop showing up. And that also compounds. So it happens in a positive way and it happens in a negative way. And I think it's really important to remember that when we're choosing whether or not we're going to show up. Well, it looks like everybody's here on Zoom. That's good. Okay. We talked about flow states. We've talked about expanding your why. We've talked about changing environment. Okay, so I want to stay on personal practices for a minute because this is something that I think is really, really important. I do believe that when we're feeling uninspired and we're not feeling motivated, it's really, really important for us to switch up our personal practices. Because, well, I guess what I'll say about this is that it's very easy to begin just going through the motions when it comes to your personal practices, where it's like, oh, I know I'm supposed to meditate, so I'm going to meditate, and I'm just going to meditate 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. I'm going to do a Joe Dispenza meditation, or I'm going to do, some kind of other meditation, or I'm going to do a mantra, or I'm going to journal, or I'm going to whatever these other commitments that you've made to yourself around your personal practices to begin just going through the motions. It's pointless. If you are just doing the things without passion and purpose behind them, you might as well not be doing them. And if that's the case, if you're in a place where you feel like you're feeling that uninspired by your personal practices, I would literally stop doing everything for a week, take a break, and then come back. But this is another way that I think that we really can reignite that fire is by switching up our personal practices, literally going in search of the fire. So stop just going through the motions. Decide, maybe it's like, instead of your 30 minutes at the gym or your hour and a half that you're spending at the gym or whatever it is, now you're like, no, I need to get out in nature. I need to be going on a walk. I need to be going to the mountains. I need to be going to the beach, like whatever it is, switch those things up. If journaling has gotten to the point where you're not seeing results and you're feeling resentful and it's boring, do something else. Do something else. If you're tired of meditating, start doing a mantra. If you're tired of doing mantras, start meditating. Do a different type of meditation. Try a walking meditation. Switch up the time that you're doing your meditation. Just switch up those personal practices. Because I really, truly believe that, that can also create stagnation. And the other piece of it is that when you just move into autopilot, like it's just uninspiring and it's kind of pointless. Like you might be getting a little bit of benefit from it. And yeah, are you showing up for the discipline of it? Yes. And good on you if you're doing that from the discipline perspective. But if you're just going through the motions, you're not receiving the benefit of doing the personal practices. So do something exciting, do something different. Personal practices don't have to be these heavy spiritual things either. When you're deciding what your non-negotiables are for your spiritual practice, your personal practices. So for me, this is something that I like to revisit every week. It's like Sunday of the upcoming week. I'm like, okay, what are my non-negotiables for the week when it comes to my personal practices? What worked last week? Do some of those things again, perhaps. What didn't work last week? Replace those with something else. And you could ask yourself, like, did I feel inspired? Do I really want to journal this week? Like, did I just go through the motion and nothing exciting or inspiring came through my journaling? Switch it up. Decide what would really excite you to do. I think for some people, it's like we fall into this like heaviness of being spiritual people and like everything we have to do has to be so spiritual and it has to be like what everybody else is doing, what everybody else says we're doing, but that might not be for you. What might be the most important thing for you to do this week is to do something that brings you joy. Maybe you're just like, I just want to go to the trampoline park 4 times this week and go jump on a trampoline. You're going to get more motivation and inspiration out of doing something that lights you up, that brings you joy, that makes you excited, that is going to fuel your fire and ignite that flame than you are over just doing the same old boring thing over and over and over. So evaluate that stuff. Don't get stuck and stagnant. Don't get trapped in that, in the hamster wheel of, personal spiritual practices because you feel like that's what you should be doing. My stomach is totally growling. Can you guys hear it? Okay. So this one's been huge for me. That one's been huge for me as well. I've really been switching that stuff up. Like getting more sleep for me has been one, and being disciplined about getting more sleep, like, and putting that in my personal practices, like taking a nap when I want to. It's been amazing because it's like I've been waking up from the naps and I'm like, oh my God, like inspiration or a thought comes in or an idea comes in. And it's, before I would have thought, oh, that's not a personal practice, right? Taking a nap isn't part of a personal practice, but I have been getting a lot of inspiration after these little naps that I've been taking. So do something that is going to ignite your fire and fuel your fire. So this next one is one for me that I have been doing quite a bit over the last few weeks. And it's engaging a mentor. And when I say engaging a mentor, yes, I do mean formally engaging a mentor, finding somebody to work with that you connect with, that you want to engage in a formal mentor-mentee relationship. But this can also be reaching out to somebody, a previous mentor or somebody that you hope would be a mentor or someone that you look up to, and finding out from them, asking them how they're finding inspiration right now. This has been so powerful for me over the last couple of weeks because I've been reaching out to former mentors of mine and other people that I admire and inspire me in the online space, and just asking questions, just being like, hey, where are you getting inspiration from right now? What are the things that you're doing in your life to inspire you? Have you been feeling this stagnation? Have you been feeling, a little bit of lack of inspiration? And if you have, or in the past, if you have, what have you done to get yourself out of those places? And it's been really inspiring. Like a couple of people that I've been speaking with lately are Dane Thomas and Katrina Ruth. Like these are two of the people just in the last week that I've spoken to, and people that I really look up to, that I respect. I respect the work that they do in the online space. And those conversations, like stepping into those conversations and having those conversations, massive inspiration. And it's so interesting. I guess I had the conversation now, it's been 2 weeks with Dane. But he and I have actually had this ongoing dialogue, and it's just been so inspiring. And I'm like, it's like in the heart of the conversation, am I having some aha moments? Yeah. But the aha moments are actually coming a week later or 10 days later as I'm reviewing and evaluating the conversation that we had, and then kind of seeing how those things are playing out in my day-to-day life. So, and this I think can be a mentor, but it also could just be a colleague. It could be a friend. It could be, I think it's important to reach out to people that, one, you respect their opinion. It's pretty useless to get this kind of information from people that you don't have a lot of respect for, but you respect their opinion. There's somebody that you look up to, somebody that has something that you want or desire in your life. Maybe you've got something they desire in one area of their life, and you've got something they desire. Well, you've got something they desire in one area of their life, and you have something that, you know what I'm trying to say. I think I'm saying the same thing over and over. They have something you want, you have something they want, and you guys kind of exchange ideas or inspiration. But go into the conversation with that intention. Go into the conversation intending to ask questions and get information on what is inspiring them and how they're finding inspiration and how they're finding meaning in whatever the area of their life is that you're wanting to find inspiration and meaning. There's something to be said for the element of fire. And it creates this incredible flame that can ignite our passions and our purpose. But it also requires that we be willing to transform. And transformation and growth can be extremely painful and difficult. I think that the thing that I see that a lot of people are lacking is the willingness to experience the transmutation. So the willingness to actually stand in the fire and allow the fire to burn away all the things that aren't serving them. That is how we ignite our purpose and our passions. Like that is the reigniting of the soul fire and the soul flame, is being willing to face the obstacle, being willing to face the challenge, being willing to face the stagnation, being willing to hold ourselves accountable for where we've fallen off in these areas that have created stagnation and plateau. Being willing to look at the areas of our lives that we're not willing to look at, which we're going to talk about in a second. Being willing to address the areas where we're not embracing passion in our lives. But really being willing to tap into that alchemical energy of fire. It's painful sometimes and it burns sometimes. But the beauty of it is that when we allow it to burn away everything that isn't serving, that's when the phoenix rises. And you become the phoenix, you become the flame, you ignite your passion and your purpose again. And you can rebirth yourself. The alchemical nature of fire, we're elemental beings, every single one of us, and all of us have fire inside of us. When we allow ourselves to really tap into that fire and allow it to burn, that is the rebirthing process. That is the phoenix rising from the ashes. And we can do this at any time and any point in our lives. And I feel like we've had this little bit of a reset collectively. And it's like the flames are ready to burn. They really are. And we've got all this incredible planetary energy supporting it as well. You've just got to decide. Are you willing to embrace the alchemical nature of fire? Are you willing to stand in the flames? Are you willing to allow it to burn, to refine who you're meant to be? Are you willing to embrace that? Because it's not going to be easy. As I decided that I wanted to be an active participant in moving out of this plateau that I had found myself in, I recognized and realized that parts of it were going to be really difficult, that parts of it were not going to be I was not going to enjoy. And there are parts that I haven't enjoyed. There have been parts that have been very, very confronting. There are parts that I've had to look at things that I didn't want to look at, but it's all about that refinement, the refinement of the fire. And yeah, so I think that, it's a question that you have to ask yourself right now. Like, are you willing to stand in the fire? Are you willing to allow it to refine you? Are you ready to have the phoenix rising from the ashes moment? Are you ready to rebirth yourself? Because if you are, you can take all of these tools and create an incredible, beautiful next phase of your life. But if you're not willing to stand in the fire and you aren't ready for that refinement, then it doesn't really matter what you do of this, because energetically, you're not going to be all in. So you have to be ready and willing to tap into that inner fire and embrace that fire, and allow it to burn and allow it to be uncomfortable for as long as it needs to be uncomfortable for. Okay. So the last couple of things I want to talk about before we get into, okay. So the last two things are kind of part of this, like being willing to stand in the fire, being willing to look at the things. I will just say though, 4 of you are watching on Facebook. We are getting ready to do the giveaway here pretty shortly. You're going to want to come over to the Zoom call because you have to be live on the Zoom in order to be considered for the giveaway, valued at $2,222. So hop on over here. The link is in the featured section of the Facebook group. Okay, so these last two things that I want to talk about tonight are relate to what we were just talking about being willing to stand in the fire. It's being willing to like step into that refinement phase of the alchemical nature of fire. And it's being willing to look at some things that perhaps you've been avoiding. And this has been a big deal for me. This has been a big part of my process over the last little while. The first thing is looking at and evaluating where you're lacking passion in your life, and evaluating all the areas of our lives, because it's very easy to be like, oh, I've lost my passion for my purpose work. I've lost my passion for my career or my business or the work that I meant to be doing in the world. But it's pretty likely, if you've lost your passion for your purpose work, that you've lost passion in another area of your life as well. And having that fiery energy and nature and passions burning inside of you, it requires that passion be burning in all the areas of your life. Like, to really take advantage of that, to really tap into that energy, to really expand yourself to the next level version of you, that person that you're desiring to become. Like, it has to be passion in all areas of life. So really looking at, where are you lacking passion in your life? For me, like, this was my romantic relationship and in my marriage. And it was a really, really difficult thing for me to look at. It just was. I didn't want to admit that. I didn't want to look at that. And I was in massive avoidance of it for many years. And to shift out of that place, I had to address it. I had to look at it. And it was not comfortable. So many of you know, I'm, going through a divorce and I'm separated from my husband, but, and that's been hard. That's been difficult. It's been difficult to look at where I allowed flames to turn into embers and then embers to extinguish, and I made a lot of excuses about why that wasn't important and why it wasn't relevant in the other areas of my life, particularly in my business. But the truth of the matter is that when we extinguish passion in one area of our lives, it's going to spill over into other areas of our lives. So it may be that you have heaps of passion in your romantic and intimate relationships in your life, but you don't have any passion in your job or in your work, or you don't have passion in your friendships. You don't have passion when it comes to your physical body and your health and your nutrition. So it really is like, look at yourself as a holistic being and being willing to look at, where are you lacking passion? And then being willing to do whatever it takes to reignite those coals into embers and then into flames. And ignite that passion in your life. And then the last thing is, and this, I would just say, this can really be anywhere. Like, I'm not going to tell you, look in this area, look in that area. You're going to know what it is. As soon as I say it, you're going to be like, oh yeah, it's that thing. I don't want to look at it. What is the thing? What is the one thing right now that you're not willing to look at? What's the one thing that you've been putting on the back burner? Every single time it comes up to be addressed, that you're like, yep, not right now, not yet. I'm putting that on the back burner. Nope, don't want to look at that right now. For me, I do a really good job of compartmentalizing. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm working on these two things, but this thing I don't really want to work on right now. So for me, like, this thing that I'm facing right now that I'm looking at is my relationship with my mother. It's something that I have been avoiding dealing with and looking at for a long time. And it's just something that I know right now, like, I've got to sort it out. It's affecting all the other areas of my life, whether I want to admit it or not. And I know, to truly be happy, to truly be inspired, to truly be lit up in all areas of my life, that I need to be willing to look at the things that are difficult and hard for me. and address those things and move through those things, move through the childhood traumas, move through the relationship issues, and get myself to a place where, it doesn't really matter if it's being willing to look at it. It doesn't mean it has to be perfectly resolved. So that's the thing I want to say to you. Like, it doesn't mean it has to be perfectly resolved, but you've got to be willing to look at it. And you can't keep pushing it off. So those are all of my Reignite Your Soul Fire tips. I know that was a lot. This was a lot for a masterclass from me. I know, because typically I'm like riffing intuitively and it's not like so content heavy. But it was what it was tonight. I just felt like I had a lot of info that I wanted to share. And we got through this in 2 hours, actually. I thought it was going to be much longer, but I think I said all the words and I spoke pretty quickly. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of things. We're going to do an awesome giveaway in just a second. But one of the things that has been lighting me up like crazy this year is that I have stepped back into spiritual business mentorship. And I love working with spiritual entrepreneurs and helping them dive into their business and reframe their messaging and all of this stuff. Like, to me, it is one of the things that's like totally lighting me up right now. That's like reigniting my soul fire, is being able to work with people in their businesses and inspire them to be able to, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at the computer, and I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. So now I'm looking at the camera. One of the things that it really lights me up to see people be able to step into next level versions of themselves and expand their businesses and be wildly financially compensated for the work that they're doing in the world, and shift those beliefs around the need to trade time for money and help them get clear on their messaging and help them get clear on their branding and all this stuff. So some of you are aware because you have joined me in this program, but I have an incredible 14-day business accelerator called Heretic, and it's for the renegade rule breakers and heretics who are on a mission to change the world, profoundly impact the world with their message. And I am launching another round of Heretic 2.0. I'm doing 14 new days of content, which I said I wasn't going to do again. But as I decided to do this, I got super pumped up about it. So there's already 14 days of incredible content in Heretic. It was a 14-day business accelerator. I've run 2 rounds of it this year. So this is going to be the 3rd round that we're running this year. And I'm recording 14 new days of content. So good news is if you've already signed up for Heretic, you're getting these 14 days of content. You're getting that included. This next round of Heretic is going to be and it's starting in 2 weeks from today. This next round of Heretic is going to be the last round where if you join, you will get access to all the subsequent rounds of Heretic. So if you were in the first 2 rounds, you get access. However many times I run Heretic, you always get access to the new content that goes in there. But this is the last one. So the first 3 rounds will get forever access to all the additional content free of charge. But this is the last time. Okay. And so we're starting this in 2 weeks. It's going to be during this incredible Mercury retrograde time. So we're going to be working really, really heavily on messaging and target audiences and demographics and social media platforms and avenues. It's this round I'm super excited about. It's going to be next level. So here is the offer for you guys for tonight. Heretic, it's $444 for the next 72 hours. You guys can get this for $100 off. So if you haven't participated in Heretic, you're going to want to. It literally is, again, a very content heavy, a very practical, application heavy program of mine. Oftentimes I do a lot of spiritual stuff and I do a lot of inspirational stuff. Like, this is real practical business advice. There are group calls, there is hot seat coaching, and there's heaps of content. But It's about owning your inner heretic. It's about finding that message that only you have, and sharing that message with the world. And this Jupiter and Aries energy is so powerfully supportive of this. And now moving into Mercury retrograde, where we have this time to really refine messages. This round's going to be incredible. So you can get $111 off for the next 72 hours. So it's $444. You can get it for $333. The coupon is Ignite My Fire. So I'll drop these links for you here in just a minute, but along with the coupon. So you can get $111 off Heretic. If you are an alumni of Heretic, we are doing a super exciting. So the 3 of you that are watching on Facebook, or the 4 of you, or however many, we're getting ready to do the giveaway. You've got to be on Zoom to be considered for the giveaway. So hop onto the Zoom call. I think Leslie's on right now. Yeah, Leslie, can you drop the Zoom link in the Facebook comments of the Facebook Live? So alumni of Heretic, we're doing a very special VIP upgrade for you guys on this round of Heretic. And so you are going to receive for $88, and this price is going to be increasing to $111 in 72 hours. So you've got 72 hours to get this $88 price. 14 days of new content, which I just talked about, that was included in what you already had. But for this VIP upgrade, we're going to be doing a very special VIP business accelerator Sheng cycle clear. So that is the clear in my modality that takes you on a journey through all of the elements, and we clear the primary question most relevant in all of the elements. So a very special VIP business accelerator Sheng cycle clear, a intimate VIP group branding call. So these are going to be small groups of 8. So there's lots and lots of personalized attention, right? So it's you, me, your brand in a small like pod type call, 8 people maximum in those calls. And then there'll be a VIP alumni transmission call. So a brand new content call. So you can get that VIP upgrade for $88, or you can just get the 14 days of new content for free because you are an alumni. But those are our offers tonight that I'm super, super excited about. So you definitely alumni. I think that those of you that were in Heretic and did the 14 days, like you're going to be so excited about the VIP upgrade. And I'm so fired up. I have so much new epic content to share. 14 days of brand new stuff that I haven't shared in there yet. So it's going to be next level. Super, super excited for this next round. Again, we start next Tuesday. So the content will be delivered over about 45 days. So you'll get new content about every 3 days. And then there'll be content drops as well in there. So it's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. Oh, look at Leslie go. She's dropping all of the things. She's dropping all the information. I am super excited to do this next bit, which is the giveaway. So I have an incredible new quantum wealth repatterning program that is kicking off tomorrow morning. We've done some pre-work. And just know everybody has to stay. You've got to stay to see if you're going to win the giveaway. Okay. But we did a preliminary clear in this program. And it was a preparatory clear to get us ready for the program. And it blew my mind. I'm so excited about this. This is a journey through the Philosopher's Stone with a money, wealth, and abundance focus. And we have taken this incredible process, the Philosopher's Stone, that we do in my modality, where we actually take the 5 primary questions that are associated with each element, and we clear all 5 of those primary questions. This process is a 14 to 16 week journey through the elements. And we've reworked this entire process to have a money, wealth, and abundance focus. And it's just been extremely, extremely powerful. It's been very confronting for me. It has changed the way that I look at wealth completely. And so we officially launch tomorrow, or we start the program officially tomorrow. We have our welcome call tomorrow morning, I think at 11 a.m. Bali time. And so I am gifting one person on this call that program. So that entire program, that entire 16-week program, is going to be gifted to one person on this call. And that person is Dina. So Dina, welcome to Alchemical Wealth. I am so excited to have you on this journey with us. And yeah, it's going to be next level. I can't wait to see where the participants of Alchemical Wealth are. I did say Dina. She's like, did you say Dina? I did say Dina. Yeah, it's just, for me, my program, Ouroboros, which many of you that are on here have participated in that program. It's highly deconstructive in nature. It's a 4-month-long program. It really rips out and gets to the bottom of all your money shit. And we're looking at the shadow side, and we're looking ancestrally and generationally. And, it's an intense, very, very heavy program that serves a huge purpose, and it's powerful work in the world. I'm really excited about Alchemical Wealth because it's so expansive. And it is looking at patterning, and it is deconstructing programming and conditioning, and lifelong patterning, but it's just so damn expensive. It's not expensive, but it will be after this round. It's so damn expansive. And just what I'm seeing in my practitioners that are going through this work right now is, they are being confronted, but the confrontation for them is about how their belief systems around wealth and about what wealth is and about what wealth has to look like. And they're opening up to new ways of doing things and new ways of calling in additional streams of revenue and new ways of looking at money and new ways of looking at wealth. And so that's what Alchemical Wealth is about. So congratulations, Dina. I am so excited to welcome you to Alchemical Wealth. The team will get with you and get you all plugged into all the places. Anyone else, Alchemical Wealth we're taking a limited number of people through because this is actually a case study program. This process, Alchemical Wealth, will be a one-on-one. We will probably include it in some other programs as a group process, but it is designed and will be, for me at least, I will be executing it as a one-on-one process, and it will become part of my strategic wealth coaching that I do, which are my intensive one-on-one programs. And those range from 11,000 to 22,000. And so this process is going to become a really integral part of that work that I do with my private clients. We are doing it right now in a case study environment. So what that means is, because I really want an opportunity to observe a large group of people going through this process so that we know how best to support people. And so myself and Laura Johnson and Claire McCullough, 2 of my wealth alchemy practitioners, are taking a group of 30 through this process. So there's going to be lots of individual attention. And it is a group clearing dynamic. And so we're asking people it's 2022. So you get that reduced rate on this by coming into this case study environment. And then we just ask that you fill out a survey after each of the clears and then submit a testimonial at the end of your journey. So yeah, we're super excited about it. It's going to be next level. Would love for you to join us if you're feeling called to that. Leslie has dropped the link to the lead page. If you have any questions about this program, what it entails, if it's right for you, please reach out to me. We are, I think, pretty close to being full. So if this is calling to you, just make sure that you reach out to me or to Laura or Claire. Happy to answer any questions. And we start tomorrow. So the first clear is actually not till Tuesday, and the doors on Alchemical Wealth will close on Monday night. So next Monday evening, we will completely shut the doors if we're not already full by then. We'll have the first clear. The first official clear will be next Tuesday. But we do have the welcome call tomorrow. So, and I know lots of you are in here. So, so that's that. That's all I have. Thank you for joining me and, receiving this information and desiring to reignite your soul fire and doing the work that you do in the world and showing up day after day after day for humanity and for the collective, and showing up day after day in my community as well, and coming to these masterclasses and supporting me. I'm extremely, extremely grateful for each and every one of you. And it is because of you guys that I can always come back and be like, no matter how mad at humanity I am, like, I've got to come back and show up because I do have such an incredible community. So for those of you that are new to this community, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. You will be hit now, I'm sure, with an onslaught of emails. They will have lots of value, but I do believe in emails. So stay tuned for that information and lots of other goodies and giveaways coming your way in this email sequence. And for those of you that are old timers, thanks for coming back. Come join me in Heretic. Make sure you get your $111 off. That ends May 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. By the way, the $111 off Heretic and alumni, you get your $88 until then as well. But if you loved this information that we gave tonight in Reignite Your Soul Fire, Heretic really is your next step. Like, if you loved this information, if you're like, hell yes, I want to do all of this stuff, and now I want to know how I can bring this into my business in a practical way to grow and expand the amount of money I'm able to make. But more importantly, Heretic is about impact. Like, it's about reaching your target demographic, the people that you're here to impact, the people whose lives you're here to change. And by stepping into the most authentic version of you and not being afraid to step into your inner heretic, not being afraid to share message that you may actually right now be a little bit afraid to share. That's the message that needs to be out there in the world. And that's why we run Heretic. So that's it. That's all I've got. Have an amazing rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you are watching this call or you are catching the replay. Remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. And you are so worthy and you are so deserving. Thanks for being here.
That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to connect with me on social media and reach out. I love hearing from you. And if you want more of me, real, raw, and uncensored, make sure to join the Wealth Witch Telegram channel. It's my free channel where I share all of my random daily musings as well as the information that I feel like is important and pertinent to my community. We've put a link to the Telegram channel in the show notes, so make sure to come join us over there if that intrigues you. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you are the most powerful creator in your reality. Until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off.
Freedom.